So, with your background, right?
Yes.
What can you say living in the city of Winnipeg, and with your experience, you've traveled as well around and you have met people. What can you say?
What can I say
Yeah.
about Winnipeg as opposed to other places in the
Yes,
world?
in terms of
maybe?
diversity and multiculturalism, and you married to somebody with
A
Irish,
different background,
yes, background as well. So okay, and from another province.
Yeah. Well, for me, Winnipeg is probably one of the most diverse and multicultural cities that I've seen. I'm not super widely traveled, but definitely I do see a lot of biracial couples. We have a lot of friends. In fact, a good portion of our friends are all people who
The majority.
Yeah, good.
are biracial and have biracial kids, and so the reality of that is definitely there. As a person growing up in our and I grew up outside of the city, so I grew up actually just east of Winnipeg.
Where is that?
In the Enola area,
Okay,
Springfield, Oakbank, around there.
Okay.
So, out there, things were a little bit different. I think there was a lot less tolerance out more in the rural areas,
Okay.
at least the area that I grew up in. But I've never had any major issues, in Winnipeg as a black person living in Winnipeg. I think, maybe there is some racism out there, but you don't really see it much. At least I haven't.
Yeah.
I've always had great experiences here at
And
City.
yeah.
It's I've lived in cities in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario. I've worked in the Northwest Territories, so I've worked in a lot of, and it's one of the things is in construction, the workforce in construction is very diverse. Well, think about it, the project that we're doing at, how many different people of different backgrounds do you see come into, right?
That's true.
Whether it's First Nations people, whether it's Eastern European people, whether it's Western European people, whether it's people from Africa, whether it's people from Asia, like there's Vietnamese people, there's Chinese people, there's Laotian people, there's Germans, there's Scottish, there's Irish, there's like all and sometimes some of those people are first and second generation, all working together on it's very diverse.
Yeah, so you mentioned tolerance the other time, and one of the things that I tell people about this place, Winnipeg, it's how tolerant people can be, and some even Canadians, Winnipeggers will tell me that, are we tolerant? Are we patient? What can you say about culture of patience in this city?
Cultural patience?
Yeah. Culture of patience.
The
tolerance.
culture of patience.
Yes, yeah.
I think that Winnipeggers in general are just really nice people.
Yeah.
It's funny because at work today, someone said to me, I don't know what happened, but we both were saying sorry to each other for something. He said, you know what, people in Winnipeg are always so nice to each other. We're probably one of the nicest, cities out there.
All right.
Where people are polite and tolerant is part of that.
Yeah.
And I think that cultural, people are tolerant of other cultures.
Yeah.
I don't see a big problem with tolerance.
Yeah.
I mean, you may see pockets of that here and
Yeah.
there, and there's different personalities, but
Yeah, and this is my fifth year in Winnipeg, and I've traveled to other provinces, and I've seen how people can be, and I tell people about this city, and it's not only because we do tourism program on the radio, or maybe we try to project the station, but I see that Winnipeggers, even on the bus, they want to just give you room to sit, and they welcome people
yes.
as well. And I see the culture of patience, for me, I see it as one of the things, area that has really helped me to tolerate other people when I got here. Let me give you a little bit of background. Maybe you share your own experience too. You've been in Jamaica, right?
Yes, we've been to Jamaica. Yeah.
Okay, and from I'm from Africa, right? And we want to do our own things the way we want to do it and get it done as like any other person. But yeah, I noticed that wherever you are, you want to be online, you want to be patient, and you want to be attended to. And I'm sorry where I came from. I want to get it done, and I want to do it now.
People were impatient.
Kind of, we just want to do it in our own way. Now, with you growing up here in the city of Winnipeg and meeting your husband and travel to like Jamaica, how can you, from your experience, what are the things that you see that are present here that are not there? You've been in Denmark before? No.
No.
Or you'll be more in Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And Europe, right?
Yeah.
Mexico, Europe.
You've been, yeah. So,
Traveling.
what are the things that you notice that are present here, that are prominent here, that you notice that are not there as a Winnipegger? Do you notice anything?
It's been many years since we were in Jamaica
I think
but
the biggest thing would be how people treat each other in, like when we were in London or Paris.
Okay.
How people treat each other there, because it's hard to, when you go to talk about someplace where in Mexico or someplace in Jamaica where it's really not the same as far as a the level of the city, urbanization and stuff like that, right? If you go to Mexico, you're on a resort, and you don't really see that. But we're living in a city of Winnipeg and then going to the city of London, the city of Paris, and seeing how people, especially London, I found that there was no interaction. Like if you were on the subway, people didn't look at you. They just looked ahead, they looked at their phone. Whereas here, if you sit down beside somebody, you say, "Hey, how are you doing?"
Good. They want to get along.
If you did that there, "Hey, how you doing?"
Conversations start.
They would just move away. They wouldn't. It was that was really different. That's what I found was interesting. Here's people more receptive to a stranger talking to them than there.
Right. And now we are in the season of Valentine. And what is your own, as a couple, right? How do you define Valentine? Or what do you see so special about the season of Valentine? And how do you celebrate Valentine?
How do we celebrate Valentine's?
Well, do you celebrate in a multicultural way or in a diverse way? How do you do it? Okay.
Well, we've been married for a very long time. And we have 3 kids.
Yeah.
So, sometimes life gets in the way of celebrating Valentine's and other things sometimes, just because they are very busy with their sports and practices and that sort of thing. But we do have to make time for each other. We know that, and if it's going out for a dinner, or if it's getting together with another couple for dinner, that's often the thing that we will do. If we treat each other to a little gift of some sort, that's. But it's every year's a little different.
You want to say something?
What's that?
I'm just like how I met.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it is Valentine's Day has morphed into a huge expectation season, right? You get stuff like that. You can't take away from, just because it's one day, you can't take away from the day-to-day aspects of love in your relationship.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? And as Sonia said, we do have 3 kids.
It's busy.
Hello to Cormac,
to
Liam, and to Ronan. Okay, my 3 boys. So it's Valentine's Day is a
obviously.
I don't know. You know what? I never thought about celebrating Valentine's Day in a multicultural aspect. That's an interesting thought, Wilson.
Well, I mean,
yes, because because I see it as a season, and the season is just every day, and that's why you meet me every day and say I'm alive and thankful. I want to show love to people. I want to connect with people. I love people. And I see people as my life. because I can't be successful without people. We can't be successful without people. And if you see every day living our life for each other or for one another, then the world will go around and everybody will be happy. So in a multicultural way, I see the season, because I was just sat down and I was thinking about it. How do I see it in a multicultural way? For me, all the way from Africa to come here and for people to receive me for who I am, regardless for where I come from, is something huge. And it's something one has to really be thankful for and show appreciation, and at the same time love, right? So that's the way I see it, because this is a place that you can call home. And people say, where is home? I say, well, this is home, and I share that with people. So in a multicultural sense, now somebody who grew up being Danish,
Jamaican,
Jamaican, and
Métis,
and do you speak any Métis? Any other language? Any other indigenous language?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I wasn't exposed so much to that part of things growing up.
Okay.
I grew up in a house. My mom is Jamaican. My dad is Danish and Métis. So, we grew up out of town, like I mentioned. We grew up, I lived just east of the city. So it was a very, I grew up with a lot of I guess, Canadian kids.
Yeah.
I guess you could say white kids, sort of,
Yeah.
That was sort of the culture that I grew up in.
Yeah.
The school that I went to, very, very not diverse at all. Like my brother and I were probably one of 3 or 4 other kids in a school of 400 or so.
At that time, do you find any challenge with that?
Huge challenges there. Yeah, that wasn't a great experience.
And right now, between that time and now, things are better, right?
Things are a million times better. And you know what? Our society has changed in so many ways too, just across the board, I think. Not just in Winnipeg, but things like that, the things that I went through as a kid in my school, being bullied and being, ridiculed for not looking like everybody else in terms of my skin color, it's not tolerated today. And our kids go to a school where that is absolutely zero tolerance, and I'm sure
there's a lot of diversity in the school, like our kids' school too. I want to say, like, for example, I coach. I coach a basketball team for my middle boy, and there's not one white, to use that phrase, player on the whole team. They come from multiple backgrounds. My youngest boy plays football, and again, the team very, very, very diverse as far as ethnic backgrounds, right?
So people are just naturally more tolerant because there is more exposure.
So when you met, was there any challenge from the family side that for you, Jason?
Well, nobody like Jason on my side, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay,
you know what? No, there wasn't, because the majority of my friends are Jamaican, or Bayesian or whatever. So there was that's really, so it wasn't that for me, from my aspect of dating somebody biracial, wasn't a big deal. And her, I think it really is her mother and father who had been dating, and at a time when it was in the 60s when it was frowned upon.
Wow.
They understood what they went through at that time. So me dating her, it wasn't a thing
issue
for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, for
because
me,
they have gone through it, right? If you were to ask her mom's family what it was like to have her dad date her, at a time when that wasn't normal. But like I said, now, I would say out of probably 15 or 20 of our closest friends, I know very few that are not biracial couples.
For me to speak to my perspective of dating you and
because she had to go.
Because I had to.
She had to go back to Alberta with me, my family is very rural. Alberta. Very, very rural Alberta.
They're
right?
rednecks. They're really nice rednecks,
Yeah.
but they're
Okay,
rednecks.
rednecks.
And you were.
It's just how they are, and
Okay.
so I can tell you like the funny story of my mom learning
Yeah.
that Jason was taking me back to his cousin's wedding in Alberta for the first time, meeting
Okay.
his family, and
Right.
she begged him to look after me and make sure that everything that I was safe and.
Because at the time, you got to throw this in.
Yes.
At the time where
Right.
my parents lived is very, very close to where at that time was the
There was a
very
faction of
vocal proponent for the Aryan nations. His headquarters was very close to where my family grew up.
Oh.
So her mom had heard about that. So I'm taking her daughter to this area of Alberta. So she was.
She was really worried
But I
about
told her it wasn't.
me, and
Alright.
we
It
joked with
wasn't.
her a little bit. But
Alright.
Yeah.
but at the end of
Okay.
the day, I met a family that is incredibly accepting and just a wonderful bunch of people. So I'm
Yeah.
very lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You keep looking to his eyes, you know. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. But right now, Alive and Thankful is still on the radio. You can call us in the studio if you want to ask any question. I have special couple appearance for this season. I have Jason and Sonia Johansson, right, in the studio with me on 204-632-9292. Maybe Cormac or Lim or Roland, you want to call in and ask question, you know.
They've been trying to tell me that they
Yeah.
can't get on. What is the station?
Oh, is it? We are on. It's still we are on the
Yeah.
radio too. I'm
not
they-
sure.
They're trying to phone?
Well, they're just trying to figure out how to hear it, and
Oh
so
wow!
he's texting me, "Mom, please."
They can just call on 204-632-9292, and they can ask us, and I mean they will be able to hear themselves or hear you, or by the time they see the Facebook, because we're online right now,
Facebook.
I'll
and
just try and
we are
send
live
this.
on the radio. Now, as we do that, before we go, we still have a short time. What can you say about your experience being a cop? You know, you have different jobs now. Your
Yeah.
experience, like your experience on the job in terms of diversity and multiculturalism, your relationship with other people.
Well,
There is a lot. Like I said, there's been a lot of, I told you the story, one time, right?
Sure, yeah.
One time when I was working, this is,
Yeah.
back at the beginning where, the crew consisted of a gentleman from San Salvador,
Yeah,
a gentleman from the Ukraine.
yeah,
There was a guy from, trying to remember the other. Okay, anyway, there was a French Canadian.
Okay.
Who spoke mainly French. So you would sit down for lunch or coffee and stuff like that, and there would be these 6 people conversing in 4 different languages.
yeah.
So
Wow.
and you'd be learning each other's language, and
Yeah.
somebody would get mad and they would swear in their language.
Yeah.
And you try. That's be the first, of course, in construction. That's the first
Right.
words you pick up.
Yeah.
Are the bad ones that you're not allowed to say anywhere, right?
Yeah.
In all the different languages. So
Yeah.
it was just, it was just very interesting being there and sitting and looking and see. And like I said, that, in any construction shack, on any project, you're going to see in this city, walk in and you'll hear 2 or 3 different languages being spoken.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
That happens quite
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah, and honestly, I find it very interesting. And you see the Chinese, you see Japanese, and you see speaking their own language.
Yeah.
And even at home, I speak my own language to my children.
Remember that one gentleman that came in the summertime,
Yeah,
and he walked in
yeah.
and he spoke to you in
Yeah,
your language.
yes.
And
yeah.
he was a guy you never would have thought.
But yeah, we speak. Yeah, that's true, right?
right?
And he's Canadian, right?
Yeah, he was Canadian.
Yeah.
And it took you by surprise.
Yes, and he even asked me about food, which
Yeah.
is this is a real traditional delicacy. We call it fufu, just like yam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pando, like pando yam.
okay.
Oh, I would
I know
explain.
yam.
Like mashed potato.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's what he mentioned.
Yeah.
And we use yam, in form of like mashed potato and with delicacy, maybe like vegetable or something like that. And he told me that he went to West Africa and he took that food.
Yeah.
I said it was in Congo, it was in Ghana.
Yeah.
He said it was in Ghana and he took that food and he really loved it. So, you know, and that is what this country is all about. And that is, what I tell people as well, that one of the things that I find very profound and outstanding is the way multiculturalism is being handled. You have your own belief, you have your own faith, you have your own background, you have your own language, and yet we can all
get together.
So what has been your experience so far?
My experience?
Yes, yeah.
Well, now you were talking in terms of work and what I do.
Diversity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I work in HR, so
good.
I'm human resources with Wyatt Dowling Insurance Brokers, and so I'm someone who, in my role, I do a lot of recruiting, and so I try very hard to make sure that I'm including groups that we've had a predominantly, I would say, white Canadian workforce over the years, and that's just naturally how it's happened. But I've worked hard to make sure that there's more diversity in our workforce, and as an insurance broker, we serve people of all backgrounds in all countries, and a lot of new Canadians, and it's been a real value to have people with other backgrounds who can speak other languages to speak to their people that come in and are looking for insurance advice. And it's not easy for someone who doesn't speak the language to be able to function and I'm sure coming to Canada and maybe not knowing our culture and our language as well, it's not an easy thing.
Right. I think we're having somebody calling into the studio.
That might be one of our kids.
Oh, that would be nice. Okay. We have a phone call right now. Hello? I think...
hello.
Hello? Oh, we lost that line. Hello? Hello?
Hi there.
Hi.
Oh, we have the... So we have Cormac.
Well, we have Liam and Ronan right now.
Okay, you want to ask Mom and Dad question? They are on the radio right now, Alive and Thankful Wilson on 92.9 FM. I understand you're having some issues in getting through online, but you are going to see everything because it's still live on Facebook and on our website on radiohours.ca. So you want to ask Mom and Dad question about their experience here, about multiculturalism or diversity, about love, Valentine. Okay, right? Go ahead.
Hey, boys.
Hello.
Okay. Hello.
Do you have a question?
Do you have a question about multiculturalism, diversity, or love?
Yeah. You have any question you want to ask Dad or Mom or both of them? Or you just want to say hello and thank you being on the radio?
Okay.
We did mention your name, boys, so...
Yeah, so do you have anything to say or you have any question?
No, not really.
Okay. All right.
Now they're being shy.
Okay, and it's good to have you. Is that Liam?
That's Liam.
That was Liam, yeah.
Okay, I think I've met Liam. I've met.
You've met Liam, yes.
So all right. It's good to have you, and it's good to have your voice. Maybe one of these days you come with your friends on the radio. Maybe sometime somewhere you can do something like that.
That's a good idea.
Because we have the mind to bring students.
Oh yeah.
From different countries and share their experience because we have diversity in schools.
We
do. On the program in summer we have the mind to bring students from U of M, U of W, and then from high school, then from junior high, and maybe like elementary as well.
Yeah.
Bring all of them together and they want to share their experience from different countries. So we have the mind to do that this
That's a
summer.
wonderful idea.
So I think Liam would be one of them if we are not traveling because we don't know how let you know ahead of time.
Yeah.
So Liam, are you listening?
Yeah.
So I hope you have time in summer to come on the show with me, with other students, so that you'll be able to talk about your experience in school, your friends, and the relationship we have with them in terms of how you feel about them, your friendship with them, and do you speak French?
No, I do not.
Okay, all right, no worries. And when other people, when they speak their language, how your experience, some I ask my children, I ask them too, that when other people speak their language, maybe the learning break, for example, how do you feel? It's because it's what makes our country diverse, right? So these are the things we'll be talking about in summer. I hope you have time. I will let you.
I think we could make
probably
time
make
for
some
that.
time.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you very much. It's good to have you on the show tonight, to have your voice, and to see you in summer.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right,
Bye,
thank
buddy.
you. Bye. Yeah.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye, boys.
Yeah. So your experience on the job has been, you with different people, and for me to even when I arrived there, and some friends even up to now, they still ask me back home, this is so in Nigeria. And how do you feel what has been your experience to get a job? And I tell you, when I arrived there in March 2013, within how many months, maybe 2 months or thereabout, I was able to get a job. And
You were, yeah.
honestly, the only thing, and what I tell people is that if you have a focus and you can visit places where the resource centers, like we have Manitoba Start, we have
some great programs.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have Manitoba Star, we have Immigrant Center, we have some Helping Hands Resource Center too. We have there is another one, African Community Akomi. I brought the president here, I think early this year, late last year, and these are the places that people can go, and these are the places that I went myself to learn one thing or the other, and my wife volunteered at Immigrant Center as well. So, and just to have that kind of experience. You want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, I also work with a organization that has had some different programming as well for new Canadians. Workplace Education Manitoba. So
is what?
Workplace Education Manitoba.
So how can we? This is very informative. So you have any information about that? Where is the place? The
I can
phone
give
number?
you some information on it.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what kind of programming they have now. I know a few years ago they offered, they do training around the 9 essential skills that you need to be employed.
Okay.
So that's things like literacy and numeracy and computer, that sort of thing. So I know that they've had workshops and things like that for people who are new Canadians and are trying to learn these things.
So where is this
be
place?
Employable. Their building is at 1000 Waverly. They work out of that building and have classrooms in there. We work with them to do training and develop training for our staff at White Dowling. And but I do know that they also work with they have programs for new Canadians.
So for listeners at home and viewers, we have one information on tourism, and tonight, and you are a new person in the city, you are looking for a place to educate yourself, to get more information about the city and about the country, and how to go about maybe getting jobs, and you are having challenges. We have what's the name of the place?
Workplace Education Manitoba.
Workplace Education Manitoba. So, and you can even go online. If you go online,
you might be able to see more. I don't work with them in that aspect, but I do know that I've seen
good
in the past that they've had those sorts of
so
things.
It's been nice to have you in the studio. You have any other thing to say before you go tonight?
We want to thank you for having us here tonight.
It's long overdue, because it's been since how many months now we're talking about it. And remember when I started this show last year, June, you were the first person. I remember I told you. Yes. And I said one day you'll be one of my guests on the show. I will host you and all that, and it's good to have you too, Sonia, on the show. And it's people are very important in our lives.
Yeah.
And one of
I
the things I mentioned to John Reese when he came here about 3 weeks ago is that for people coming, for all of us coming from outside, there are so many things that really hard there. There are so many challenges out there. And you come to a country that receives you with open hands, regardless, and gives you what you want in terms of safety, security, social services, health, education. What else do you need? You need to celebrate that country. You need to celebrate the values, the ideals, and the people. And that is why Alive and Thankful Wilson, I try to bring people who I believe, I've come in contact with and have made impact in my life. So your husband is one of them.
Oh, well, that's...
Thank you very much.
He's made an impact on my life.
Right.
Definitely.
We've had some good conversations, Wilson.
Yes, thank you very much. It's good to have you on the show tonight. And Alive and Thankful will be back sometime soon. Spring is coming. We have so many activities coming up. Even now that winter is rounding out. 2 Tales of the City celebrating the galleries. We have that one still on, and we have some other outdoor shows in the city, and you can just go online on Tourism Winnipeg and get more information, or downtown Winnipeg BC, you get more information. So tonight on Alive and Thankful, from me and from Jason and Sonia and Cormac, Lim and Ronald is thank you very much. We hope to see you again on Alive and Thankful. Good evening.